hot, it's live, provocative, and digs deep into the issues. It's KFM's Hot Seat. The hottest debate on all relevant topics, live on KFM's Hot Seat tonight. KFM's Hot Seat. Every weekday, 7 to 8 p.m. KFM's Hot Seat. Only on 933 KFM.
Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Derek Wandera. It's exactly 7 p.m. on this day, the 19th of April, 2024. So many things are happening. It's two weeks running, and traders are in running battles with the security all over the country over what they have called an unfair tax regime from government. And even when you look at the Daily Monitor of Saturday, tomorrow, it's already out on your streets, and it's going to give you the biggest headline saying, "Storm brews over government tax regime." And also it gives you about the Koyelo upcoming trial. And they give you so many more in there. So just run onto the streets and buy yourself a Daily Monitor for Saturday, which is tomorrow. My name is Derek Wandera. I'm sitting in for the old man of the clan, who is the big host of this show tonight. And every Friday we are here as journalists to delve into the biggest topics of the day and the week. I have a very big, not very big really. I have a very small as compared to what is always here. A panel of two.
Where are people gone? Are they also protesting? What is
Probably
happening?
they are traders. Everyone is not a trader in this country.
And maybe they're somewhere in the lobby of State House waiting for the president.
They're trying to find solutions.
Hey,
Frank Mujimba and Jimmy. Oh, Frank Mujimba from
No, I'm just a panelist.
panelist, and Jimmy Odoki, who is a regular on this show, also from the civil society. We want to delve into this story that we just started with. 2 weeks running, traders on the street in running battles with security over the tax regime that they call very, very unfair to them. And of course, the whole big issue has come in with the way they have changed the tax policy of going IFRIS. IFRIS in full is electronic fiscal receipting and invoicing solution. And that is where the whole discussion has been. That's where the whole fight has been. A trader seemed not to be understanding this thing called IFRIS. A common trader who is dealing in tomatoes, who is having a small building in
a small
downtown,
yes,
is dealing in first-hand shoes or whatever you want to call them, or second-hand. Doesn't really understand this, and for me, from where I sit as a journalist, there is a lot that needed to be out there about this tax before it was even rolled out, and that has been the issue. Has not been that the tax is bad, but the issue is we don't know what this whole IFRIS is. I want to begin with you, Frank.
Actually, people are scared of what they don't know.
Yeah, it's called fear for the unknown. I want to begin with you, Frank. What do you make of this, and where do you see it end? Because President Museveni is supposed to meet the traders, and I know they are at State House in Nakasero waiting to meet him, and he's supposed to give them a soft landing and give them quite an in-depth analysis of what he actually means by IFRIS, but also other tax regimes in the country. What do you make of this?
I really don't understand what the president is really going to improve on whatever they are protesting against. But I would like to first comment. You said the security forces are actually running battles with traders. I think this kind of protest, this is where someone decides to close their shop and stays home, or they do not come to work. So I really don't know. So police is chasing these people to bring them and open their shops and start working. So I think this kind of protest is good this time around. It's not that people are actually attacking security, but it's like it's security that is chasing these people, maybe to bring them back to their shops. I really don't understand. But I would want to first say, okay, there is a saying that goes, that I think that there are two things that you cannot avoid as long as you are still alive. And that is, that is death and taxation. And so you cannot run away from taxation. It is really hard. But I think as these traders protest, or anybody out there, I think it is important to really highlight the importance of taxation. Taxation is not good. You cannot avoid it, because we elect a group of people. We give them the powers to run this country on our behalf, of what you would call government.
Yes.
So we are charged with the responsibility as citizens to avail them with these taxes to be able to run this country, because these people do not have their businesses that they run that maybe gives them income to try and run this country. So we really need to understand the role of taxation. Taxes are really important. Now, let me come to the big topic. This is IFRIS, and IFRIS is a management system. It is nothing else, and it has come purposely to make sure that government collects these VAT taxes. Now, if you tell me that people are protesting because of the enforcement of the IFRIS system, it's like you're saying these traders have been avoiding to pay taxes. There's what they call tax avoidance and tax evasion. So for tax avoidance, you use the legalities, or you use the techniques to try and avoid paying these taxes. But evasion, you outright refuse to pay these taxes. So the government, through URA, is bringing a system that is going to enable these traders, that is going to enable it to collect actually this VAT from traders. So I really don't see the problem, because there's no increment. It has been 18%, and that is what is still there. So what the government is doing is to bring a system that is going to cause convenient collecting of these taxes. So if you say these people are going to meet the president, I actually don't know. So what is he going to do? Is he going to reduce the VAT from 18% to 16%? Is he not going to is he going to tell these people not to enforce IFRIS, which is one of the systems that are used not only here in Uganda but all over the world? It has been proven to be one of those systems that are so efficient in tax collection. So I really don't know what the president is going to add to this, but at the bottom of my heart, I really don't think that IFRIS is a problem in itself. Maybe the URA has to find a way, because one thing, Wandera, you must know, and Odochi, you must know, that people who are supposed to pay VAT, these are traders, or these are people whose annual sales turnover amounts to 150 million. So I really don't see a tomato seller, like if you really make sales of tomatoes that amount to 150 million in a year, then you must be some magician. So I really,
at a commercial level,
it's okay. So I really don't see how these small businesses could be affected. I don't think that everybody who has closed their shop downtown has really been affected or meets the criteria that allows you to get registered for VAT.
So Frank, you and I want to give you this follow up, because I know you are quite well placed in the finance department.
Okay.
When you look at tax regimes, again, you are talking about IFRIS, and like I said from the start, the protest is not about like we don't want IFRIS.
Definitely.
The protest is that we do not know IFRIS. Definitely. And there should be that distinction. But we have had so many taxes that some like graduated taxes that have been scrapped, withholding tax, and stuff like that. And yes, they have been paying, but then you bring in something that's so alien and they do not understand it. From you and me could understand what IFRIS is, but let's not just wash it under the carpet, that everyone does understand. I wanted to ask you that you know about taxation. You have studied in depth about taxation, and you know what taxation is. In most cases, it's for the very betterment of the community.
The country, yes.
But you know that it's a mindset stuff. Even if you went to the US and brought a certain alien tax that's not understandable, even when they are able to pay, without you buying their minds and making them understand, they will protest it. What do you think government has not done right in introducing IFRS, especially to the common person or the common trader?
Actually, one of the canons of taxation is called, I think it's called clarity. In other words, people should be able to understand the taxes that are being charged by government. So now the tax here is VAT. Understand?
Yes.
The tax is VAT and it is 18%. So I don't think that people really don't understand what 18% means, because Wandera, if you are a supplier, I come to your shop and maybe buy goods. Maybe I buy a bottle of water or a shirt at 10,000. So VAT will be 18% of that. You understand? So when it comes, and actually, I really don't know why these people are protesting, because this charge, the 18% that I have, because now that simply means that I am going to, yes, I bought the shirt at 10,000, then plus 18%, which is VAT. So that is the money I have paid you. Now I will make sure that when I'm at my selling point, I'm going to pass on this exact charge to the consumer. So I believe these people understand. They understand what VAT is. Now the challenge that they don't understand is IFRS, the system that is being used to collect these taxes. Now, first of all, we said that VAT is people who are fit to register for VAT are people with a turnover with an annual turnover of sales of about 150 million. These are the people who qualify. So it is what the government maybe can do through URA is to make sure, because they can easily identify these businesses, because they are saying that currently the registered number of people who are fit to pay VAT are about 20,000, but the number rises to about 50,000 because there are other people who do not meet that threshold, but because they have seen the good things that are in the system and they have embraced it in their businesses, even when they do not meet the threshold. But also to be able to supply maybe government or these other big companies. If you do not have this system that corrects VAT, sometimes these businesses might not look at you. So it is all about URA to go back and see how they can they have these people registered with them. So it's all about teaching people changing the mindsets of these businesses and showing them that actually this is not dangerous, but it is for the betterment of the country. When you look at
The figures, Jimmy, of tax collection in this country, we've not been doing so bad, because when you look at the year 2021, 2022, we had a target of about 11 billion, but we managed to collect 10, a deficit of about 1 billion.
1 billion.
In the next financial year, which ended last year's 2020 to 2023, we had a target of 11.7 billion. We collected 11.6 billion.
It must be in trillions. It must be in trillions.
Yes, yes. Trillion. So, actually trillions.
Yeah, so Jimmy has been hitting its target.
Jimmy, do you think introduction of mandatory IFRS, that kind of system of collection of taxes, is going to affect these figures?
I think it's going to make
especially looking at the backlash that it has come with and the protests and stuff like that.
No, if it's implemented well, it will improve the collection. But the problem is that the traders were not sensitized enough. But I was also reading in the Monitor that if you go to the anti-corruption court, there are many culprits of this IFRS system. Yeah, so there's not been good sensitization. That's why the traders are against it. But also there are some issues maybe they have to revise, because they say, if, for example, there's an there's a mistake in the transaction, and you're caught to have flouted or done something, even by mistake, it can lead to a fine of
about 6 million, even if it is an omission of a product that goes for maybe 1,000.
So that is very scary. And then to integrate into that system, to start using, you have to pay like 2.5 million. So if you look at the cost and how it's already the way it's working, they're having some glitches because of so many things, and you have to employ like someone who is good at bookkeeping and an IT person. So to traders, they look at that as things they are not supposed to be paying for. So how does then the URA or try to engage them in a way that they have it's a win-win. They understand that it's good when the system works. It will be easier to monitor and collect the taxes, but also they shouldn't look at it as it's meant to just get them.
We have to go to a nut break, and when we return, we shall be discussing this and more to come.
The hottest debate on all relevant topics, live on KFM's Hot Seat tonight. Hot Seat. Hot Seat. Hear the real story behind the story. Coming right at you. Only on 933 KFM.
Welcome back. This is Derek Wandera, still sitting in for the old man of the clan, Andrew Mwenda. I am with Frank Mujimba and Jimmy Odoki to discuss this week's very top and big stories. We are still discussing EFRIS, we're still discussing taxation, still discussing tax regimes. Jimmy, I was still with you. It looks much like the URA is headed for a very tough journey. One, of trying to make the people understand what exactly EFRIS is. Two, is to cover up this time that they have lost, because if businesses have closed down, certainly there is no taxing that's happening, and if for as long as the discussion on this matter is not settled, then there is not going to be that target that's supposed to be hit. What do you think needs to be done? Do you look into the discussion between the president and the traders tonight, bringing some calm within the business circles?
So as usual, when there are problems, it ends at the door of the president. And for him, he might be looking at the political side of it. So
absolutely,
yeah, he might agree with them. He might tell URA, go and sensitize people better. And also URA, I think they're already in the drawing. They've gone to the drawing board to try to see how to manage the situation. But most importantly, sensitization of traders that this is for the good. It will make things easier and better. Yeah.
Absolutely. And again,
and then if you look at the countries around, I'm told is already operating in, how comes in Rwanda, small economy, Kenya, big economy, even Ethiopia, all this, they apparently have the system working. So how was it implemented there? Why wasn't there a backlash?
I think much of the things that we're talking about right now is that we have not taken time to educate the mwananchi, because I own a business and I do IFRIS. I do that. But then how many people have interacted with that? But even before that, I struggle to understand.
But
Frank, I want you to tell us, from all these tax regimes that are in the country compared to what's happening in other countries, who is supposed to do what, when and how?
You see, Wandera, implementation of this free system is not so hard, because these traders downtown, okay, I would want to first address that these traders in town, at the end of the day, they have leaders at the top. So as long as government convinces the leaders of these people, then it is so easy for these leaders to sit down with these subordinates or people that they're actually leading, sit them down and make them understand these things. Perhaps what URA can do, because the traders were saying that to set up some of these systems it is really expensive. So perhaps what URA can do, I think they also have to put in some effort to make sure that if some of these businesses lack these machines, these systems to be installed to be installed at their business premises, they can help with that. Then secondly, they can roll out a team that is supposed to train these people on how to use the IFRI system, because IFRI is only responsible for only VAT. But what I wanted to come to is, okay, if VAT is fully implemented, what you were asking Jimmy Odochi, and actually all traders embrace it, URA is going to collect a lot of money, because so many people have been doing businesses and they have not been remitting these taxes to government. But the big question is, and I think IFRIS is just fronted as yes, it is just a spark, but there are so many things, there are so many challenges that these traders are actually talking about, even in their silence. Now, Wandera, if you are in a country where you will receive a report from the what is this agency that Honorable Betty Kamia,
yes, IGG,
and the report Inspectorate of Government, and they are telling you almost 10 trillions go into corruption, because this is part of the taxpayers' money that is collected. If you live in a country where members of parliament and these commissioners of this world are giving themselves these service awards, you were here in this country when the Parliament of Uganda was giving out cars to what they call former speakers, yes, because of the positions they occupy. For God's sake, one day nobody calls you from your constituency to come and stand to lead your call. It is a calling that you have as a person. So there is nobody who calls you to come and take up a seat as a Speaker of Parliament. It's a calling that you have as a person, and you want to serve. And on top of that, you are paid a salary. You are paid emoluments that are way high out of this world. So when you're in a country where people are living in such fantasies, the third thing is that you are living in an economy where you have these foreigners, the Chinese and all the foreigners in this country, who come here as investors, and they are given tax holidays at the expense of this Ugandan who is actually suffering. You give them tax holidays, they do whatever they do here, they take back profits to their countries, and as the tax holiday is getting finished, because they come here, they ask for free land, they ask for tax waivers, and as this tax holiday of 10 years is getting finished, they're packing their bags and leaving. So the traders are not protesting because of only IFRIS, but because of the challenges of, yes, taxes. If the taxes are collected and you still have Kampala looking the way it is today, if because I wouldn't mind if I was earning 1 million and maybe I am paying, let's say, 500 to taxes, and my country is secure, because you've seen recently the soldiers have been there have been a salary increment for them because these people do not do business. They have been so if I'm paying a tax and contributing to the security of my country, and infrastructure in my country is really good, and a number of services, hospitals, schools are really looking good, I really wouldn't mind. But the challenge is that, yes, you are going to pay these taxes, and at the end of the maybe if this is implemented, and maybe let's say you are correct, it's about 40 trillion in a financial year. So the IGG will come here and tell us now the amount of money that goes into corruption has now increased to about 15 trillion or 20 trillion. So I think the government should put a lot of effort in making sure in trying to block these avenues where these what I would call corrupt people, how the money moves out of government and is taken by these corrupt people. So the government should put a lot of effort into that direction. So imagine if because IFRIS if it can add 10 trillion, because 10 trillion is what is moving out as corruption. So if government can block and this 10 trillion does not move out in form of corruption, then we would have, I think it would be a better country. So everybody would feel responsible that they are paying taxes, and these taxes are actually doing something.
One of the problems and one of the discussions that has been on the streets has been that, okay, and you brought it out about the investors, the so-called investors that come in here. I was bamboozled and flabbergasted one afternoon when I met a white hawking
things,
literally hawking things, and he came to me and told me, you know what, I want you to give me 100,000. This goes for 400,000. It was a cooking machine. Goes for 400,000. Give me 100,000, and I am going to be calling you per month or 2 weeks. You'll be sending me 50,000 until the 400,000 end. And I asked him, do you know me? Do you know where I stay? Because he just got me on the street. He told me, no, don't you trust me? I have to trust you. And then I asked myself, when does government collect tax from somebody, such a person? Where does he carry his VAT and take? And who is there to monitor this guy's movements and how he ends up getting all this money and how because the things are being imported and they come in the guise of, we have come as investors and we are just doing these things for ourselves and then they end up selling them. So there is a very huge gap, and it's a very big concern that a Ugandan is being levied more than 6 taxes on one commodity. The person who comes in as an investor, who is in position, not even should, but is in position with all due on all standards. They have the capacity to pay taxes. They are given tax holidays. Even those that don't have tax holidays have been allowed to trade like hawkers.
And that is a challenge.
And that becomes a very big challenge, because then we are going to remain here. And I've seen those cartoons of milking an already emaciated cow.
A cow that you're not feeding.
You're not feeding it. So if even the people who have the money are not monitored, it's going to be problematic. Jimmy, where do we move from here?
Do you know who likes talking about investors the most? I think this problem will, depending the outcome of the meeting with the president, there might be a solution coming, because usually what the president decides becomes final. And hopefully something good will come out of it. And I think it will encourage that the traders embrace e-freeze for better collection and for the good of the economy.
But also for me, Wandera, the big question, I think I have a minor rant about how systems run in this country. You have such a problem that you would think maybe a minister of finance or some minister here in Kampala, it can be solved. I don't know how everybody ends up in State House to be solved by the president. The president of the country should be dealing with what you would call big things. But when you see such a small thing, it also awaits
this is a big
approval.
Thing.
No, it's not that big. It can be solved.
For me, I think it's just the brokenness of systems.
That
because these people have met the Minister of Trade
and actually even for them they don't believe in him even when he tells them.
I expected this thing to be anyway.
They want
Frank
to
Mujimba is ranting on this show today against his own government that he has never.
Systems don't work. And who is responsible for the system not working?
With this and more.
KFM's Hot Seat.
933 KFM.
The hottest debate on all relevant topics live on KFM's Hot Seat tonight. KFM's Hot Seat covers all the relevant topics every weekday, 7 to 8 p.m.
Welcome back. You're still with me, Derek Wandera, still taking you all the way to the end of this show. I am with Jimmy Jimmy Odoki and Frank Mujimba to delve into some of the issues that have happened within this week. Frank, you had something to conclude because you want to run away from this topic.
Just one. I wanted to mention one leg, because the other leg of this discussion is that there's allegations that the government is milking a cow that is not feeding, and actually this is true, because these traders also go to the same commercial banks, even where government goes, to try and get capital to invest and do business, and the rates are still high. So if this trader is still getting a loan at about 25% or 23%, and they have all these taxes that the government levies, so you end up pay in terms of taxes, you end up paying 60% in terms of interest, but also in terms of taxes that the government collects. So I think it would be important if government could come out and they make sure that they make capital available to these traders at a very lower cost. For example, you can say 10% or 11% or even 12%. I think that would be better. That would enable these people to go and borrow money and do business. But also the other second thing is what I would call widening the tax base. Now, URA is continuing to tax from the same people. If it is Wandera, today, if this financial year they have taxed you, they are charging you maybe 18%. The next financial year they increase this 18 maybe to 19% or 20% on the same person. So URA still has a small number of people. You've heard the speaker say that they should collect taxes maybe from these cattle keepers, from cows. Also, maybe you should broaden the base, even if these people are contributing maybe low rates of taxes. But if they are so many, then I think that would help, instead of milking from the same person and then the other person and the other people in the other, because there are those goods that do not pay taxes, agriculture, because it is okay. Why don't you tax these people who keep animals, or even people who do agriculture, coffee and others? You tax them. So this will enable to broaden the tax base, and URA will not be struggling with these things that it is in.
You're very right. The tax base is very, very narrow, and I think it's also one of the discussions that has come up within the elite, that seeing the traders being able to remit taxes every other year has made URA even more hungry for those.
For more.
And they keep coming every financial year. Please, can you give us more, because we don't have anywhere else to go. But yeah, there are so many people. There are so many places that can be taxed. Like you said, the agricultural produce. Those are some of the avenues within which you can get some taxes, and then cattle keepers. I don't think they're like, again, the speaker says she has more than 2,000 cows.
And
begin with the speaker.
So you imagine,
and she's very willing to.
If or even the president. So imagine if if the rate maybe was 2,000 per cow, and the speaker has 2,000 cows, because the census of the animal census was carried out, and in Uganda it is said that we have about 14 million cows, 17 million goats. So you imagine if you charge maybe 1,000 per animal. I think it would be better. But we have to shift gears, ladies and gentlemen, and we go to another topic that has made headlines towards the end of this week. Yesterday, the Chief of Defense Forces for Kenya Defense Forces, that is General Francis Ogola, together with 9 others, were involved in a helicopter crash. I have just come to learn that one of the people, there is one person who survived. I think he's a photographer or something like that. 1 or 2 who are in the hospital, and they are being treated. They are being treated and stuff. We want to talk about this kind of scenario because we've seen some of these scenarios come within the region in Uganda. We want to localize this in Uganda, in Kenya, and all that, but
they came with a lot of speculations. What do you
Definitely.
think? What do you dig into this? Frank?
Okay, I wouldn't want to speculate into what would be the exact cause of this plane crash, but investigations are going on, and the report will be given. I don't think there's need to get into speculation, but it is really unfortunate. You see, the Kenyans, like our brothers, these are the people that we trade with. These are the people that we actually do business with and live with. So it is really unfortunate to lose a person of such a caliber. A CDF, I think he had spent about 1 year in that position, because he comes into that position in April 2023. After the retirement of General Robert, the other name is a bit difficult. So he comes into this position. This is the person who had moved through the ranks. He joined the force, I think, in 1984, thereabout. So he had grown through the ranks. Because even before getting into this position, he was the deputy CDF. Then he had also held the position he had headed the Kenyan Air Force. Then he was also a deputy Kenyan Air Force. So he had also obtained training. So getting a person losing a person of such a caliber and all the resources of the country that had been invested in him is really tragic. And also the other 9 people that you talked about, it is really tragic. But you see, honestly, what remains are the members of families of these people. So I think the government of Kenya should take it upon themselves to make sure that the members because these people died in line of duty, they were not doing any other thing. I think he had moved to the eastern part of Kenya to try and overlook. I think there is a division of the Kenyan army that sits in that area. Then he had also gone to inspect some of the schools in the area. So they died in line of duty. They were serving their country. So I think the government should take it upon themselves to make sure that the members of these families who have remained behind, they shouldn't lack anything, because their family these heads of their families had given up to serve their country.
Yeah, at the time, I think it was about 2:20.
Yes.
The CDF together with 9 others had gone to inspect, like you said, the army detach, and then they went to inspect 3 schools. They were actually supposed to go to 5 places. KDF has taken up the role of renovating some schools within the country, and they have even been offering bursaries, giving some students lunch.
Like SFC is renovating roads here.
Let us discuss it. Yeah, but for KDF, it was doing that, and I think they had just completed some work within those schools in the eastern part of Kenya. And the Lieutenant Colonel Said, who heads the brigade, the engineering brigade of KDF, was taking the CDF around to just make them tour. These are the completed places and stuff like that. Look at the impression of the work. And that's where the unfortunate tragic situation incident happened, and may your soul rest in peace. So Jimmy, I want to just you to talk about this matter from your perspective.
It was tragic. We started to know about this when it happened, because social media, everything goes so fast. But Wandera, you understand the Kenyan politics better. You know where at the time of the election, which side this man who was vouching for and what was happening. So when such a thing happens, people will start looking back and trying to understand. You cannot avoid speculation in circumstances like this.
Yes,
Remember what happened to Hito Jok? Of course, we were not born. We read about when a person of such a person dies.
Of course, speculations are
there. There will
there.
be speculation, and we'll try to understand what could have gone wrong, what really happened, and it's very It's really sad.
It's really difficult. It's really difficult to put a finger to anything because in Kenya, in the history of Kenya, there is no sitting CDF that has crashed or has died just mysteriously like that. Most of them are still living up to today, generals, especially generals, you can look at the General Molinge, who still lives today, General Mohammed, General Tonje, Chibwana, and Kianga. All of them are still living. None of them has died. And just to lose a general in the ranks of the General Ogola would be something that raises eyebrows, especially in such circumstances, because we expect that for a general, a CDF, to lift any, to just be lifted in any aircraft, that aircraft has to be monitored, has to be inspected, just as much as that of the president. If Kenya can lose a general in an aircraft crash, means even it's possible for a president to do that, which is something unthinkable, because you have to inspect the landing, you have to inspect the engine, you have to inspect everything, including the airspace where he's going to fly from, including you have to inspect the weather, you have to. But if something comes up like this, many eyebrows have been raised, but again, like we say,
those are speculations.
Accidents. Nothing can be avoidable in an accident. When God has called you, when it's your day, it is your day. Regardless of the circumstances, you have to go.
But it is not the first time you had John Garanga.
Let's go for a quick commercial break. When we return, we shall continue with this.
KFM's Hot Seat on 933 KFM.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Derek Wandera. I'm hosting this show on behalf of the old man of the clan, Andrew Mwenda. I have Jimmy Odoki and Frank Mjimba to discuss some of the top stories of this week. And we were discussing the general who perished, and plus 9 others in an accident, in a helicopter crash. Yeah, in eastern part of Kenya. And Jimmy here was telling us, Frank was telling us that some of these things are normal and common, because we've seen them. We've seen
also you should know that things happen for the first time. So because there is no any general in Kenya who has been in a plane, that doesn't stop the incident from happening for the first time. So as telling you that in the region you've had the plane crash where John Garanga died. You've had Oito Joke. You've had even outside Uganda, or even outside Africa. You had what recently happened to Prigozhin, the man who had gone against Putin. So these things happen. They can happen for the first time, but certainly they happen. So speculations, I think we should wait for investigations to be done, and the report will be tabled.
No one is speculating, and we have only disclaimed on this show that when your death has come,
yes,
it doesn't matter where you are, who you are, whenever you are. Death happens as and when. And yes, rest in peace, General the Luo man, General Francis Ogola, and the others who perished in that accident. And we thank God that there are those who are going to live to tell the story, who are still in hospital. And probably they will come up and tell us exactly what happened, what transpired, yes, and what exactly went wrong with the pilot and things like that. And we wait. We've seen also that very many Kenyan leaders, including Martha Karua, was reading this evening, opposition leader Martha Karua, saying there needs to be intense investigations into this, because things don't seem to add up. But like Africans, we always think that when someone dies,
there's something that has
people
don't die by themselves.
No, there is no natural death in Africa. At least there is someone who has killed. Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, we have to shift gears, because this is our last segment in this show, and I want to move to the mergers that are happening. And quite interestingly, that these mergers were suggested way back, I think in 2019, and the matter has been long living up to today, and matters haven't happened. But this week, Parliament had a very long week in terms of sitting and trying to merge, rejecting and approving the mergers. I want to just give you one of the, I wouldn't say the most spectacular, but it's one of the standing out. The Parliament agreed to merge the National Youth Council, the National Children's Council, the National Women's Council, the National Council of Older Persons and Persons with Disability into one secretariat that will be headed by the executive secretary under the Ministry of Gender, Labour and Social Development. Also, I think one of the rejections that I saw that was outstanding was moving the National Forest Authority into the Ministry of Water and Environment. But one of the most imminent, which I think that is waiting to hit the front covers of all the papers in the region is UNRWA. UNRWA being moved to Ministry of Works. I think many people have predicted that that's going to be, if implemented, is going to be one of the biggest mistakes that this country has made, and it's going to set a precedent because every country in the region has a UNRWA, quote unquote. Kenya has KENRA, Tanzania has TANRA, Rwanda has RUNRA, something like that, and we are seeing that in Uganda we have moved UNRWA from being an authority into Ministry of Works and Housing.
But Wandera, is there a difference? Is there a difference between what UNRWA does and what is actually done in Ministry of Works?
There is a very big difference, and this is where the difference is. When you look at what Ministry of Works does, is much more to be. Has a lot to do with strategy, strategically thinking, the oversight work, overall work, and then it's the political wing of the entire works in the country. When you look at UNRWA is the technical side of the things, and I will tell you that most of the things that have been under Ministry of Works, look at our railway. You can trace on where it is and where it used to be and things like that, and things that have been promised about it. You can look at very many entities that have stalled. But when you look at UNRWA, Uganda is not having the best roads. But government moved to slash the budget for UNRWA. I think from close to 1 trillion by half. Now they have been given about $570 something dollars. I mean a billion, and there's a lot of work. There's a lot of work that has stalled. I know that there has been a lot of works on different roads, different parts of the country and things like that. And I mean, there needs to be some upgrade. There needs to be a lot to be done on the roads of the country. But when you look at this entity being pushed and merged into Ministry of Works, there's going to be very, very little that's going to happen there because of the politics that comes with it and stuff like that. There's a lot of fights everywhere. Even I have seen many of the entities that have been merged have gone crying. Hey, it's because of politics, and I know politics is part of this country, and the fights are all over. I want you to just look into the issue of merging some of these entities. Of course, it's going to reduce on the biggest chunk of the money that's spent on administrative costs and stuff like that, but of what advantage does it give to
no, but you see, for me, I really don't think that will effectively come out because, number one, there are disadvantages that will come with this, because I read somewhere that after effective merging of all these agencies and ministries, I think the government is looking at saving, I think, about 1 trillion, just 1 trillion shillings. So where are you going to put people that you are going to cut off from these ministries, because when you merge, we assume that now some of the roles are going to be taken up by a few people and some others will be laid off. So you are contributing to unemployment as government. So you are trying to save 1 trillion on one side, and on the other side the IGG is telling us 10 trillion shillings are moving out in form of corruption. So I really don't see what you are trying. You're also creating unemployment. So I really don't see what you are trying to save when you still have a huge public cost, when you still have a cabinet that has over, I don't know, 200 people, because you see even these people who have been laid off as ministers are given roles of advisors, and these people are still earning. You still have
I don't know whether do they earn?
Yes, they are earning. Presidential advisors earn money. So you still have such a size of parliament and the cost that comes with maintaining that parliament the way it is. So I think, yes, merging or not merging, I really don't think it is going to cause a very big impact in terms of saving resources, but rather I think actually the negative effects would be big, because if UNRWA is supposed to deal with the technical work of constructing these roads, maybe they have been giving us better roads. So when you put it under Ministry of Works, it might actually
just
reduce
1 minute, Jimmy, about the topic before we run
I
out.
think a merger will depend on the performance of the agency. Like UNRWA, the Roads Authority is doing very well. So if an evaluation is done to see how much they're spending vis-a-vis, if we put them back to the mother ministry, will it still be performing well?
The way it was performing
yes,
before.
the way it was doing. So many things are evaluated. So I think they're not coming. They're coming from a position of evaluating each of the agencies that will be merged with the mother ministry.
From a personal perspective, hopefully, and I pray that hopefully, UNRWA is not merged into the Ministry of Works. Unfortunately, we have come to the end of this show. We shall be back next time, same place, same station, bigger panel, bigger discussions. Derek Wandera, have a very lovely evening and a nice weekend.
The hottest debate on all relevant topics live on KFM's Hot Seat tonight.